Good afternoon. My name is Bill Bryant, Planning Ops for Great Basin Team 1. This is the afternoon briefing of September 1st, 2021. So I'll start over on the very western edge of the fire, and we'll kind of go clockwise around that fire, kind of give an overall update and what's going on today. So we'll start over in the Bucks Lake area. As most of you already know, most of this area is pretty well holding. There's black line all around here. What we're doing now is mopping up over there, retrieving all the hose, all the pumps, and there's many, many miles of that. No issues whatsoever as far as fire issues in that area. If we come back around, we're going to come into Taylorville and Genesee. Taylorville continues to have structure protection throughout the community of Taylorville. The fire has not made a push into Taylorville in the last 3 or 4 days. I'm not saying it is totally out of the woods, but we do have resources in there, mainly structure protection at this point in time, as well as Genesee. Genesee, a couple nights ago, we had a fairly significant push down into the town. It pushed right behind the houses, which probably was a good thing. Our engines were able and crews were able to catch that with very minimal, if any, loss in that area. So the fire is basically right around the structures. The crews are mopping up around there and making good progress. So we're pretty comfortable in that community right now. We'll go up on the upper end up here around Indian Valley, past Indian Valley. This area, as we come out of Almanor, we are working with our counterparts up in the west zone. This area right here that you have been seeing that is still uncontrolled or uncontained, this is a real boggy area. It's more like a peat moss and no threat to anything. The lake is really not a true lake. There's a grass component up here, but that is given just smoke issues, no threat to private property or structures, but we are taking action on this as needed. As we come around, everything looks good up all through this area, and this is all basically a mop-up, holding operation, and retrieving equipment that we have out on the line. This particular red line right here shows fire edge, and it burned into the Walker fire, and it's been holding there for at least 7 days, and there's no big movement in there. This is almost like a dirt landscape in here, and we're real comfortable with that currently in that area. We'll go back over into the Taylorville and this area right here. This is called the Punch Bowl area. And what's happening in here, this little fire piece right here, and it looks little, but it is rather large. The crews have constructed dozer line. This is all plumbed in here, what we call plumbed. That means hose lays, pump lays along this dozer line, as well as down on these dozer lines. In the future, we're probably going to have to take some more aggressive action in here. We do not trust this dozer line by itself, so we'll have to do some tactical ignition in here. That'll probably occur during the evening when the burning conditions are much more favorable than the daytime. We do not want that fire to come down this direction into the Quincy area or the Greenhorn area. This is our primary objective still, is to keep the fire out of the 70 corridor right here. That's where all of our main structures are located. And so we do need to accomplish this. This will probably be in the next 2 or 3 days. We'll come down Grizzly Ridge. As we come down Grizzly Ridge, at the present time, this is all holding, mopping up. Hopefully this can turn black in a couple days, or in other words, a contained line. The crews continue to work this entire Grizzly Ridge down into the Davis Lake area. We have crews about right to here right now. We did have a small slop over or a spot fire that got outside of our containment lines. The crews have went around that spot fire, and by the end of shift, we'll tie it into Davis Lake. So we think this is going to hold this evening. We're pretty comfortable. We have night crews in there this evening holding that. As we go around the upper the upper end of Davis Lake, this piece continues to spread slightly to the south. We have numerous aircraft. We have the scoopers, which come down into the lake, scoop the water out, and take that water and put it on the line. Helicopters are working in there. We do not have any that I'm aware of fixed ring retardant working in there at the present time. As we come out of the Davis Lake area, this fire is pushing a little bit south. We have about 40-mile-an-hour winds right now pushing the fire, and in the last hour or hour and a half, major wind pushed this fire up at the head. It has crossed over the 177. This is the 177 more or less road. It has a real narrow head because it is a wind-driven fire. Talking to the operations section chief that's actually out in the field, he said it was a large flaming front that was burning out there. Nothing could stop it. We do have fixed wing scoopers working that line, but mainly trying to just keep this in check so it does not come around on us out of the Clover Valley area. We do have structures within Clover Valley. We have structure protection in place in Clover Valley. So we should have no issues in there. This is more of a meadow type fuel component. So as we come up here, so this fire is basically spreading towards Black Mountain Comm Site and the Highway 395 corridor. We're not real comfortable in putting resources at the head of this, and so it's basically doing its thing for this operational period. We're working with the West Zone, coordinate the effort that what's going to be needed if in fact it does cross over the escarpment right here and impact the community of Milford and Highway 395. I'm not saying it's going to do that this evening, but if the winds continue like they are, it has a high probability probably of continuing to spread that direction unless we get some kind of fire behavior wind change component. Other than that, our priorities still are Quincy, Greenhorn, Kromberg, all down in the Portola area, this Lake Davis area community. We have structure protection throughout that entire corridor, and we're comfortable right with the fire edge right now and holding that, and that's still our main priority. That's the end of the briefing.